What happens when a cave diver disappears without a trace? In today's video, we'll cover one of the most disturbing cave diving stories we've covered on this channel so far. Watch till the end as we unravel the mystery behind the disappearance and the huge efforts of 16 divers to search for the missing diver. The Vortex Spring is a cold freshwater spring with a water flow of more than 28 million U.S. gallons per day. It's located north of Ponce de Leon, Florida. The spring has a cave that connects to the Florida aquifer. It has a constant water temperature of about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Its runoff flows directly into Otter Creek, which is not far from Vortex Spring. The spring has several species of fish in it, including large carp and freshwater eels. The cave system in Vortex Spring is about 1,642 feet long. Both experienced and inexperienced divers frequently go into the cave system in the Vortex Spring for an adventure, but there's an opportunity for the inexperienced divers to be trained right at the Vortex Spring Park in the two underwater training grounds, which are about 20 feet. These are frequently used for open water certification dives. The opening of the entrance to the cave is 9 by 12 feet and is about 58 feet below the surface. There's a handrail that is mounted along the wall of the cave. You can't reach farther than 310 feet. There is a restriction placed on other passages because they're considered dangerous. Ben McDaniel went to Tennessee to spend a week, 4 months after he relocated to Florida. He was training to get certified as an instructor so that he could get employment through that. Also, he had been developing an interest in cave diving in recent times and hoped to get cave diving certification as well. Ben told his girlfriend, Emily Greer, that he had the plan to start a diving business. So he left his parents in Tennessee, dropped off an appreciation letter with a promise to take good care of them during their old age, and returned to Florida during the weekend of August 14th and 15th. On August 18, 2010, Ben left for Santa Rosa Beach House in the Vortex Spring as he normally does. Ben went for a dive during the day and was looking closely at the entrance. Other divers that saw him thought that perhaps he had a plan. He returned to the surface to fill his cylinders at a dive shop. He was testing his equipment and writing in his dive log, all alone, staying close to the spring in the afternoon. During the evening, Ben started preparations for another dive. At about 7:30 p.m., Ben entered the water to dive again, with his light on and a helmet on. While he was entering, Cronin and Eduardo Terran were returning from their usual dive adventure. When Terran perceived that Ben was forcing himself to open the gate, he dove again to unlock it for Ben. He returned to the surface as soon as he saw that Ben had entered the cave. Usually, Cronin used to wait to see the bubbles that indicated Ben's decompression process whenever he dove at night. But this particular night, he and his friend just returned to Terran's house to relax without watching Ben's movements. Ben had earlier parked his truck in the parking lot before he went for the dive. On the following morning, his truck was still parked at the same spot, but no one had seen Ben since he went for a dive the previous night. When Terran discovered this, he called the Holmes County Sheriff's Office and reported that a diver was missing. When the sheriff's deputies came to the scene, they sealed it up as a crime scene. They couldn't find any of Ben's diving equipment around his truck. The only thing they saw was his wallet with some cash in it and his cell phone. They saw his dive logs, which indicated that he had dived into the cave, and they saw the map that he had made. His unfed dog was found at Santa Rosa Beach House by the officers. The police and those at the dive shop assumed that Ben had drowned in the cave when he was struggling to get out. The news spread abroad, and volunteer cave divers came to the scene for a recovery operation during the weekend. They informed Ben's parents, the McDaniels, and his girlfriend, Emily Greer, who all came to Florida to watch the recovery operation from the surface. Captain Harry Hamilton, an investigator in Holmes County, concluded that the recovery operation could only be done by skilled divers because the operation seems to be a dangerous attempt. Some experienced divers that were present at the scene of the incident made their way into the cave. They searched everywhere within the cave, both the large passages and the small ones, but couldn't see any sign of a body in them. The divers that went for the recovery operation had their toughest time in it, as they almost lost their lives in the operation. During the weekend, some other sets of divers also searched through the cave, but all to no avail. But during their search, they found some of Ben's equipment. 2 tanks were found very close to the cave's entrance. The search team was astonished by this supposed action of Ben, who had no technical permission to dive into such a cave. As a cave diver, extra cylinders that are supposed to be for decompression should be at different points along their exit and not only at the entrance. When analyzed, the cylinders contained normal gas instead of a mixture of gases that is needed for the depth to which they supposed Ben had dived. On August 22, 2010, 4 days after Ben entered the cave, Ed Sorensen, a veteran diver and recovery specialist, was contacted for the recovery of Ben's body from the Vortex cave system. Ed had made close to 2,500 dives, and he was considered the best option for such a dangerous recovery operation. He came to the scene the following day for recovery. Other divers informed him about the difficulties of diving in the Vortex Springs cave system beyond the places they'd been to. But Ed is known as a diver who goes far beyond where other divers could dare enter, and he accepted to go in for the search. He entered the cave, reaching about 1,700 feet. That was about 200 feet beyond the place that Ben had earlier mapped. Ed went into the cave with a diver's propulsion vehicle and smaller cylinders so that his dive would be very fast. There was no mark made on the walls of the cave as a sign that someone had been to such depths when Ed got there. Besides, the silt seems never to have been disturbed. Ed didn't find anyone inside the cave despite his 3 attempts. Ed also said that Ben's possibility of entering the narrow passages of this cave system was limited because he had not even had training in cave diving. So he concluded that Ben wasn't inside the cave. All of Ben's parents' efforts to help with the search for their son became futile. Again, they called Steve Keene, an experienced and skilled diver who had mapped the Vortex Springs cave system in 2003. Steve made 7 dives into the cave without finding any sign of a body within it, so he apologized to the McDaniels, Ben's parents, that he couldn't find their son. The McDaniels were determined to get their son's body back at all costs, so they offered thousands of dollars to whoever could help search for the body within the cave. But no one could, so they offered about $54,000 as a replacement cost for the remotely operated underwater vehicle that was brought for the search in case it got lost in the cave. But the remotely operated underwater vehicle wasn't able to go beyond the places where human divers had gone because of some technical issues. Within 36 consecutive days after Ben went missing, 16 divers risked their lives searching for his body, all to no avail. Up until November 2010, different searches were made in the cave, but nothing came out of it. When the search inside the cave proved abortive, suggestions came as to searching on land. Perhaps his body was secretly taken away from the cave before they began the search or disposed of on land. They also thought maybe the water had washed his body out through the spring's outlet. Some other divers, including Cronin and Kelly, assumed that Ben could have arranged his disappearance to start his life in a new place and forget about his past pains. The authorities considered these possibilities and started searching on land with some cadaver dogs. The dogs searched through the woods that were around Vortex Springs, but they couldn't find anything either. Also, helicopters were used to search the swamps along the spring's outflow into Blue Creek and Sandy Creek to the Choctawhatchee River. They also carried out about 30 different tests of the spring's water for months to see if there was any increase in bacteria activities in the water that could be an indication of the decomposition of a human body in the water. But none of the tests showed the supposed sign. A lie detector test was conducted for Taryn, who let Ben into the cave, but he passed the test without any further suspicion. This was how the disappearance of Ben McDaniels in the Vortex Springs became a mystery for more than 10 years. We would like to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed watching, take a dive on the like and subscribe buttons and hit the bell icon so you get notified when we come back with another exciting cave diving story.